is Jarrod Horak, and I'm going to do an early Kentucky Derby preview in this video. Now, if you're interested in my annual Kentucky Derby Day full card, you will find that on Kentucky Derby Week at therunawayhorse.com on my sales page. I just started a pre-sale, so if you're interested in any of my Triple Crown Series products, I'm going to be covering a Kentucky Oaks Day stakes races, plus extensive analysis of the Kentucky Oaks, Triple Crown Series full cards from Churchill Downs, Pimlico, and Belmont Park, and some other Triple Crown related products. So go over to my sales page at therunawayhorse.com. You'll see all the products that I am offering, and you can do a purchase right now if you're interested in any of those. And now we'll go through all the Kentucky Derby points leaders. All the points races have been finished, and we'll go through. We'll talk about each horse real quick and their chances of winning the Derby and what kind of running styles they have and information like that. Now, the Kentucky Derby leading point earner, 2-year-old champion Forte, he's been outstanding. He's won 4 Grade 1 races. He hasn't lost any races around 2 turns. He's just been rock solid throughout his career, going back to when he won his first stakes race in the Hopeful Stakes. Then he won the Breeders' Futurity, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He won the Fountain of Youth Stakes and the Florida Derby. So he's just been able to stalk the pace, close. He's got enough positional speed to work out a decent trip in the Kentucky Derby. He's been training well, and he's been looking energetic in his gallops at Churchill Downs. So there's not a lot of knocks on Forte. He doesn't dominate. He's not like so much faster than these horses on paper, but he's classy. He's got all those Grade 1 wins, and he just shows up and runs his race every time around 2 turns. Practical Move, 160 points, was the second points earner for trainer Tim Yakteen on the West Coast. And he really had some great trips in his 3 2-turn victories. The Los Alamitos Futurity, he saved ground stalking the pace. He went up the inside and he won that one. The San Felipe Stakes, same thing. Saved ground, stalking the pace, came up the inside, kicked away, and he looked very good in that one in his first start this year. Santa Anita Derby, broken record for this one. Stalked the pace, saving ground, went up the inside, but this time he only held on by a nose. Mandarin Hero, Japanese horse, almost got him that day. So now he wasn't as impressive at 1 1/8, saving all the ground, and he's going to really need to have a really good trip in the Kentucky Derby, I think, to get that 1 1/4. But that tactical speed could lead to a good trip, and I wouldn't be shocked if he was right there, if not in front, turning for home in the Derby. Angel of Empire, 154 Derby points for trainer Brad Cox, Flavien Prat the rider. An Angel of Empire, when he got out to 1 1/8 in his last couple starts, he's been very good. So Brad Cox was one, when he ran in the Smarty Jones Stakes, he said, wait till this horse gets more ground, he's going to do better. And that's exactly what happened in back-to-back stakes wins, including a very good victory in that Arkansas Derby last time out. 150 points for Tapit Trice, and he might have the best pedigree in this field. And he's been very good for trainer Todd Pletcher. He's just had problems with the gait. He would have some slow starts, but he was able to overcome that against lesser company. And he did overcome a slow start in the Tampa Bay Derby, and he just jumped in the stretch out of nowhere and just shot past all of them. Didn't run a complete race there, but he was very good in the stretch. And then in the Bluegrass Stakes, the top 5 finishers in the Bluegrass all earned enough points to run in the Kentucky Derby, and Tapit Trice had a much better start from the inside post. He was able to sit in mid-pack, and then his jockey Luis Saez steered him outside in the backstretch. He made a nice move to move up to 4th place. Verifying was sitting in front of him in 2nd, and when Verifying made a move, Tapit Trice made a wide move, and you just knew at that 1 1/8 distance of the Tapit Trice was probably going to be better than Verifying, and that's what happened. He was able to stay close enough to that one, outfinish, and win by a neck, and the top 2 were well clear of the rest. So Tapit Trice, training well, galloping well, with a lot of energy, seems to be getting good at the right time. 2 Fills is one that certainly could be a Kentucky Derby contender. 123 Derby points, and he picked up most of those when he was victorious in the Jeff Ruby Stakes on all-weather ground at Turfway Park. He was rallying wide. He was strong in that race, in that all-weather route. And now he's going to move back to dirt. He handles dirt. He handles fast dirt. He handles wet dirt. He won a stakes race, the Street Scent Stakes, a Grade 3 at Churchill Downs on a wet track. So I think fast track, wet track, it doesn't matter. Two Phils just goes out there and tries hard every time. You got to like his determination. Lord Miles, a huge upset winner in the Wood Memorial. He has 105 Derby points, and he picked up 100 in that upset victory in the Wood Memorial. And that Wood Memorial, it wasn't a particularly fast race. It wasn't a strong race on paper, but Lord Miles earned that victory, and he was one that was running in Florida earlier this year. Tapit Trice had handled him at Tampa Bay Downs. But Lord Miles, he's going to have to improve again for trainer Safi Joseph Jr. He just proved that Wood Memorial was a real strong effort. Even when you look back at it, I'm not sure of the strength of that race. Derma Sotogake from Japan, he won the UAE Derby. Very powerful victory, going wire to wire, basically wire to wire there, picking up 100 points and qualifying for the Kentucky Derby. This seems like the kind of year that a horse shipping in could be interesting in the Derby. There's no real standouts with strong speed ratings, and Derma Sotogake is one that he can get up on the pace, and I wouldn't be surprised if he hangs around a long time. Distance won't be any problem. He handled a mile and 3/16 very easily last time. Mile and a quarter is not going to be anything for him. Kingsbarns for trainer Todd Pletcher picked up 100 points in the Louisiana Derby, and in that race he was just able to get out there and control the pace. Nobody really wanted the lead, and he was able to get out there, dictate terms under Flavien Prat, and win that one nicely. So now he's 3 for 3. Unraced 2-year-old, not a lot of experience, and he had everything go his way in his final prep, and I don't know that in a 20-horse Derby field that's going to happen again. And then Flavien Prat jumped off, and he decided to ride Angel of Empire for the Kentucky Derby. Ray's Cain, 64 Derby points, and he won the Gotham Stakes nicely, and then he ended up just picking up a minor award in the Bluegrass. He's going to have to pick his game up. Rocket Can picked up 60 Kentucky Derby points for trainer Bill Mott, and at Churchill Downs right now he's training in blinkers, and they want to add blinkers to his equipment for the Kentucky Derby. They want him to focus more. He's one that has some tactical speed, and he did get better around 2 turns, but as he's facing tougher company, I'm not sure that he's quite up to the challenge. He just seems a cut below the best. Hit Show for trainer Brad Cox picked up 60 Kentucky Derby points, and he just missed in the Wood Memorial. He looked good in the Withers prior to that, and the Wood Memorial he had the far outside post, but he just couldn't quite get by Lord Miles, and I don't know, as I said, I'm not convinced that was a super strong race. Confidence Game is one for trainer Keith Disarmo that has not run since the Rebel Stakes. That race took a lot out of him. He upset that race, and now they're just training him up to the Kentucky Derby. So I think that he's could be in trouble. He's only run a mile and a 16th, and he's one that I'm not thrilled about the layoff at all for him, missing some training after the Rebel Stakes because that race took a lot out of him. 54 points for Verifying, and he ran well in that Bluegrass Stakes. My main concern with him is probably the mile and a quarter distance. I'm just not sure he can get that mile and a quarter. He's got tactical speed, he's got some ability, he's got some class. I think he can work out a good trip in the Kentucky Derby if he can draw a decent post and track the pace, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to outkick horses like Tapit Trice and Forte, which he was not able to outkick Tapit Trice at a mile and an eighth. And you're going to have some good quality horses like Angel of Empire as well, and I don't know that he can outkick them at a mile and a quarter. Sun Thunder, another late runner for trainer Kenny McPeak. I'm not too concerned about the mile and a quarter distance of the Kentucky Derby, but for him, I just think he could end up just being a cut below the best. Wild on Ice tracked the pace and upset the Sunland Derby, and he's got that tactical speed to work out a good trip. I just don't think he's fast enough. Mage is one 50 Kentucky Derby points for Mage, and he gave Forte a real tussle in the Florida Derby last time. But for him, again, he's kind of lacks experience like Kingsbarns, unraced 2-year-old, but he certainly has a lot of ability, and he's getting better. And the slow starts are a bit of a concern for him as well. Now, 46 Kentucky Derby points for Blazing Sevens after finishing 3rd in the Bluegrass was enough to get him in the Kentucky Derby, but trainer Chad Brown says he's not going to run in the Kentucky Derby. He's going to skip the Derby and point to the Preakness, so that will allow Jace's Road for trainer Brad Cox to get into the field. Disarm was a late qualifier for trainer Steve Esmason. He qualified in the Lexington Stakes. He needed to finish in the top 3. He did just enough, finishing 3rd. Now, that race was at a mile and a 16th. I think at a longer distance, Disarm is going to do better in a race like the Kentucky Derby, but he hasn't won a stakes race yet. Needs to pick up his game. Reincarnate has some early pressing speed, and John Velasquez has won the Kentucky Derby multiple times. His rider, and Tim Yakteen is the trainer, same trainer as Practical Move, and Reincarnate used to be in the Bob Baffert barn. He's been solid in his races. He was good in the Sham Stakes. He finished 3rd in the Rebel. Arkansas Derby picked up 3rd again, and he's going to need to do a little bit more. He had a lot of trouble in the Rebel Stakes, and he ran well there, but then he's had a good trip in the Arkansas Derby, and he just could not go at that mile and an 1/8 distance. He just could not go with Angel of Empire. Continuar, Japanese invite, is 20th on the list, and for him, I think he's probably up against it in here. If you're looking at the Japanese runners, I think Derma Sotogake is the one you probably want to use. As I mentioned, Jace's Road got in, and he was one that I thought could steal the Louisiana Derby, but he did not get out there and get to the front. And he ended up hanging in there and hitting the board there. But I think Jace's Road is one, if you look at his form, and I said it before the Louisiana Derby, I said he's one that needs to get out there and set the pace. And if he can do that, he can be dangerous. And in a race like the Kentucky Derby, maybe that's what they have on their mind. They want to try to get him out there and set the pace. Skinner, 45 points for trainer John Sheriffs. He needs 1 defection to get in. And this is a horse that I would like to see get in. He's been running well on the West Coast, and I think maybe getting off of those harder tracks on the West Coast and getting more distance. He's got that kind of pedigree that he should continue to get better as distances increase and he gets more experience. And I'm looking at Skinner to be a live long shot if he gets into the Kentucky Derby. Cyclone Mischief needs a couple defections for trainer Dale Romans. He seems a cut below the best. He's one that has some tactical speed. And then Major Dude would be the next one for Todd Pletcher if there are 3 defections. Major Dude, turf horse, he's best on turf, I think. And maybe that's the direction they would like to go. I think that's where his future lies. Mandarin Hero ran a very good race in the Santa Anita Derby. I don't know that he's going to get enough defections to get in, but if he can run that kind of race again at a little bit of a longer distance. And then King Russell, he's one that was able to pick up 40 points for finishing 2nd in the Arkansas Derby. But prior to that, he had just broken his maiden. Like the pedigree, and he's getting better, but I just don't know that the Kentucky Derby is the right race for him at this point. So that's a look at the Kentucky Derby, all the horses that could possibly be in the race, all the horses that are already in, and then as I mentioned, with Blazing Sevens out, Jace's Road is now in, and Skinner is the one waiting for a defection to be able to get in. He's the next one in line. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this horse racing content, and check out my sales page again if you're interested in my Triple Crown Series products that I'm offering this year. Pre-sale begins now, and when Kentucky Derby week comes, I'll have that Kentucky Derby day full card complete. And that will wrap up this video, and stay tuned to my YouTube channel because I'm going to have more Oaks and Derby related videos on the docket each day. So until I see you next time, good luck at the races.